Hello everybody, it's Tim here again, here another movie review. This time for Mission Impossible The Final Reckoning. Now why I chose to do a review for this? Really only because I did a review for the other part of this, because it's a two-parter, and it feels like it's been forever since the other part of this came out, the first part. Just to jump into this franchise, overall I would say I'm a fan of the series. I'm not a huge fan. Like, most of these movies are kind of like an ego stroke for Tom Cruise. This one is kind of no different. I guess part of my problem with this is these are supposed to be team movies. Most of the time they say that, like, you know, the team, we got the team. That's what Tom Cruise's Ethan Hunt character always says. But really, they're just Tom Cruise ego strokes. He does like 99% of everything in these movies. And every now and then, like, some of the other characters will get like a side thing to do or something, or they'll get something important to do. But it'll be like for like one little extended scene or something. But 99% of the stuff, you know, the Ethan Hunt, Tom Cruise character is doing. And that's one of the weaknesses of these films, is there's just kind of an ego stroke for Tom Cruise. Here, it's the same thing. It's the ego stroke. I will say this movie is too long. I think it may have even been like 3 hours with credits, and you do feel that, or I felt it when it got to like towards the end, because it felt like it kept going on. The highlight for me was definitely the big final battle, like on these planes or whatever, the big plane action set piece that you actually see, or Tom Cruise released video of him doing like as a stunt. Like, these movies have become more about promoting the stunts or whatever, since it's become famous for like Tom Cruise doing like the majority of his own stunts. And really, he does like part of his own stunts, but for some scenes they have to have like a stunt double in there, because it can be like a liability for the studio if an actor does like too much or something too dangerous. Because some happens to the actor, they can't finish the movie, obviously. Unless they do like a CGI double thing like they did with Paul Walker in Fast 7. But this is a straight sequel to that last one, or a second part to that last one, where Tom Cruise is trying to save the world from the Entity, an evil like Skynet type program. And we got the Gabriel character back, who in the last one I believe was working with the Entity. Been a long time since I've seen it, but I believe he's working with the Entity. Here it seems like he kind of just wants to control the Entity, so he's kind of like going away from what he was originally doing. And then Tom Cruise wants to like stop the Entity, and he has to like get this code or whatever that's in this sub that's like at the bottom of the ocean. And it's a pretty cool action scene, but him in the ocean or whatever, you know that he would never make it. The dude would like froze to death or whatever. It's a good action scene moment, but it doesn't entirely work, and it's kind of just cut off because Haley Atwell just happens to show up at the right specific time to save him. They kill off Ving Rhames' character. He gets killed by the Gabriel character in an explosion, and he's like real sick when this movie starts out. Seems like he's in the hospital bed, and there's some weird editing choices at points in this film where characters just kind of show up like out of nowhere when there's like really no explanation for why they're in a certain spot, or how they got there, or I mean how they knew to come to a certain spot. It just happens. Like, it feels like some stuff might have been cut out, but already this film's too long. There's a lot of exposition here, and the story is extremely thin. It's a simple story, but they just keep it going with like constant exposition. And they do this other thing where they try to like connect all the films together with this one, because this is supposed to be the final reckoning. They try to connect it to all the other films, to like make it seem like this was all one big plan, even though we know it wasn't. And you can tell when you're watching this that they're kind of forcing some of these connections, because you can feel that, because you can tell when you watch those other films before this one and before the last one that they were just meant to be standalone stories, and you can feel that. But here we are with this one, and like I said, it is kind of silly how they try to forcefully connect things. And Ving Rhames' character gets killed, and then they just kind of replace him with this random like younger black dude who they just kind of run into. And they're like, come on, you know I'm the only one that can stop the Entity or whatever. Like, Tom Cruise is talking to him. He's like, okay, I'll join the team. And he joins the team, and he doesn't do much of anything, really. He could have just like been completely cut out of the movie. It would have made no difference to the plot at all. They bring back the Asian chick who was in the last one, who was a bad guy in the last one, who at the end was betrayed by Gabriel, because he was like, the Entity tells me, you know, that because Tom Cruise saved you once before, that you'll betray us, so I gotta kill you now. But really, she only ends up betraying him at the end, because Gabriel tries to kill her. And her character is just a hero in this, like working with Tom Cruise to take down the Entity. And that's something that doesn't make any sense. Like, her character is never developed. Like, it never explains why she was working with Gabriel in the last one to do all this evil shit. Why? Her character's never explained. Like, they bring her back just to have her be a part of the team because they left her alive in the last movie, but they never explain at all what her character's all about. Like, why is she suddenly wanting to help Tom Cruise and everything just because he tried to save her once? Is that it? And because Gabriel betrayed her? Like, did she not know who the dude was she was working for? And why was she so loyal to Gabriel? Does she not know the entity is evil? Like, what the fuck is her character about? It's never explained. So, yeah. You eventually get to the end, and most of the movie is just a lot of exposition. Like I said, it's just people talking about what the entity plans to do, cause people to like launch nukes and shit, and blow up the planet, and whoever's left alive or whatever of the human race, it will make them stronger. That's the entity's plan, which really makes no sense, because there wouldn't really be much of a planet left, if anything left, after all the nukes on the entire planet went off. So even if someone did survive, they just pretty much die of radiation poisoning. But yeah, get to the end, Tom Cruise has the big aerial battle with the Gabriel dude. Man, just like, I do like how Gabriel gets taken out. He's like, only one of us has a parachute, haha, and then he's like, jumps off, and then he flies back by accident because of the wind, and like hits his head on like the end of the plane, and it kills him. That was kind of funny, because he's like being smug about it, like, ha ha ha, get the parachute, Tom, and he just like gets his brains knocked out. And Tom Cruise is in great shape in this. Of course, they gotta have scenes where they show off his build, where he takes his shirt off, but at the same time, you can see it in his face that he's looking a lot older. And I do think this franchise would benefit from casting someone younger and going for a younger group of characters and a younger team in these movies for the future. But I know that's not going to be the case. Tom Cruise is like, this is one of his only major franchises, really, that he has. So even though this film, I believe, did not do good in theaters, I think it was actually a flop. He's still going to try to bring himself back in a few years or whatever. He'll try to come back with a new one called like Mission Impossible Reborn or something. Like, Tom Cruise is never going to give this series up. He's going to do this until like his 70s. He's obsessed with it and can't let it go. This is his only like major starring franchise vehicle he's got. And then the last one underperformed. This one did even worse, I believe. So I think that this series has gotten to a point now where it's kind of hitting a wall where it's just doesn't have much going on in terms of the story. They're just like repeating themselves. They're just stroking Tom Cruise's ego. The other cast members are there just to do little bits of things every now and then Tom Cruise kicks the villain's ass at the end. And you get to the end, Tom Cruise stops the entity, aka Skynet, by taking like this flash drive thing or whatever off Gabriel's neck and having to put this code in it or whatever that, like, I guess fries the entity or takes away its powers or whatever. And then they bring in this character who's supposed to be the son of John Voight's character from the original. He's just kind of thrown in. He doesn't really do anything. He's just there to say, oh, they're all connected. The movies are all connected. I'm telling you. So that was pointless. You get to the end, Tom Cruise saves the day. The entity's been stopped. And you got Angela Bassett in here as like the female president, which she does a good job in terms of acting, but and her scenes are well done. But at the same time, she has like this whole thing where she talks about my son, and then her son really has no place in the plot. She just kind of like talks about him, and at the end, she like just sees her son, and she's like, hello son, you know, like basically I love you. And it's like, what was all that talk about her son? It doesn't really add anything. But anyway, so you get to the end of the movie, and then of course after like the code thing to like stop the entity, I believe, was created by like Ving Rhames' character, the hacker. And then he gives like this big speech at the end that he was like pre-recorded before he died or was killed by Gabriel. And he talks about how Ethan's a hero or whatever. He's the greatest thing ever. Like, more ego-stroking for Tom. At the same time, he is the star of the series. But really, if you're going to make these team movies, make them team movies. Don't make them Tom Cruise jerk-off fantasies, okay? Make them team movies. So, but then you get to the end, you get the thing from Ving Rhames or whatever, which is sweet to hear, how they honored his character. At the same time, Ving Rhames' character never really did much in these movies. He's supposed to be the hacker guy. Like, every now and then he got some cool scenes, but he really didn't have much of an impact. He was never really developed at all. But it's still sad to see him go when he does die here, because I like Ving Rhames as an actor, and he's a good actor, so I did feel it when he was killed off just because his acting is good. But you get to the end, and all of Tom Cruise's like teammates or whatever are like around him, and they basically give him this device or whatever. And I believe it might be like the entity or whatever after it's been like subdued and all that, and so he can just like kind of hold on to it to make sure nobody else gets it or some shit. I guess. And then he kind of just like walks off, and then cut the credits, is over. Like there's no romance set up for him and Haley Atwell or whatever, despite hitting that through the whole movie. He just walks off, it's over. Okay. Overall, this would be like a 2.5 out of 5 movie for me. This would be like an alright time killer. I didn't hate it. I didn't love it. It's not terrible, but it's nothing to really go out of your way to see unless you're like a fan of the franchise. So, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you again.